So you're at home watching a detective crime scene investigation, this sort of program. Now a murder's taken place, no one knows who's done it, what the motives are, what the murder weapon was, and finally, near the end of the show, they discover the crucial piece of information that was missing. They have DNA of the intruder who broke into the house and committed the murder. Right. Program over. We know for certain that this person committed the murder because we have that key piece of information. This is the level of certainty that Darwinists want us to have when it comes to human chimp ancestry. It's like it's a done deal, guys. You have to be a complete moron to not believe in this. I mean, come on, look at this fossil. Look at this particular similarity between human beings and chimpanzees on a DNA level. Look at this, look at this, look at this. But what I want to do today is simply show the difference between the popular understanding of Darwinian evolution, which is propagated by these Darwinists, and the way that's academically understood. Now on this channel, I have a lot of atheists, and I do actually try to go through the comments as well. So I want you atheists who are watching this video to actually comment below and let me know if I'm saying anything which cannot be found within mainstream secular understanding of Darwin's theory of evolution. Now what I want to do is this. That so-called bloodstain, that DNA, that thing that they have, right, we have this evidence, sorted, done, human chimp ancestry is true. What I want to do is this. I want to show every single one of these supposed ancestors, Lucy, Homo naledi, RD, whatever, right? Every single one of these human supposed ancestors, which links us to the chimpanzees and this human chimp ancestry, this is based upon four assumptions and an inference. Now, I'm not going to go through a detailed analysis of each one of these assumptions. I'm going to briefly explain them. And what I want the atheists to do on this channel is just comment below if I'm actually wrong. Comment below if we can have that level of certainty when it comes to human chimp ancestry, or if it is actually based on these assumptions, which I'm going to mention now. The first assumption is the assumption of naturalism. Now, naturalism is a governing principle in science, which is every single thing that scientists look at, they have to explain naturalistically. A natural effect has a natural cause. Therefore, by definition, human beings have to be linked to non-human ancestors, by the very definition of science. Now, because of this, people like Gareth Nelson, a curator and a professor of evolutionary biology, he said, we have to have ancestors. Why? Because they have to be there and these are the best candidates. Now, this is the assumption of naturalism. Darwin also understood this, and in The Origin of Species, he said, if there were no fossils, the human chimp ancestry and the tree of life would still be true, simply because of the classification which we have today and the assumption of naturalism. And this is something agreed upon by paleontologists, that they are governed by this assumption of naturalism. So that's the first assumption. The second assumption is the assumption of homology. Now, homology is the idea that similarities are due to common descent. Now, homology has been used a lot of the times by Darwinists in a circular way, in the following way. Similarities are due to common descent, similarities exist, therefore common descent is true. That's circular reasoning. The only thing they can say about homology is, we assume this, and that's it. We just have to zip it then. We assuming. Now, anything that is assumed can never be 100% proven. It's just an assumption. Now, that particular assumption has problems such as homoplasia, which I've mentioned in previous videos. So you have the assumption of naturalism, the assumption of homoplasia. You also have another assumption, which is the tree of life, which is universal common ancestry. So a human being, a chimpanzee, a blade of grass, an elephant, a mushroom, a dolphin, whatever, every single thing has a common ancestor going back billions of years, which goes back to the first cell. So a sub-branch of a sub-understanding of that particular tree of life is that human chimp ancestry is true. So this single origin is another assumption, and of course that assumption is challenged by other evolutionary biologists. Now, you have the assumption so far of naturalism, of homology, and of the tree of human chimp ancestry having a single origin. Now, other than that, even if these assumptions weren't involved, the fourth assumption is the most devastating, which is A to Z is done by natural selection. Now, you can show all the similarities till the cows come home, but that means nothing, because Darwin's theory of evolution is not a theory of similarity. It's a theory of transmutation, a theory of transformation, a theory which shows how you can get from a bacteria-like organism to an elephant, how you can get from a chimpanzee-like common ancestor to a human being. So that's the fourth assumption, that this change from A to Z, A to B, has been done by natural selection. So these four assumptions are involved in every single one of these fossils. Now this, of course, involves everything, not just anatomy, but this also involves biochemistry when it comes to the assumption of homology. It also includes genetics, DNA. Everything about human chimp ancestry has to go through these four assumptions, and after these four assumptions, you can make the inference that human chimp ancestry is probable. Now, I don't have a problem if someone says I believe in human chimp ancestry, and I believe it to be based on a probabilistic framework. It's got some assumptions, and yes, there's some issues with this, and some of the assumptions can be challenged, and also there's some disputes about this as well. I don't really have a problem if someone says that. I mean, why would I? But the issue I have is when people misrepresent mainstream secular academia and they simply say, no, this is true, because that's not what they say. They say that is based on assumptions, the four that I just mentioned, and an inference. So I hope in this video you have discovered, no matter what compelling supposed piece of evidence that they bring, what fossil they bring, what truth they bring, whatever they actually come up with, whether it's DNA or fossils or biochemistry or whatever, when it comes to human chimp ancestry, you have these four assumptions and you have an inference. Science is not a one-way street of progress which leads to all truth. Science is a beautiful method to try and discover more and more about the world, but sadly today we have people who are misusing science to propagate their religion, because Darwinism has actually become into a religion. It is a purple cow. It is something unique. In the history of science, this is the only scientific theory, and it is a valid scientific theory, which has become into a political system, a religious system, an ethical system. It has laws to protect it being taught, and criticism of it is stifled by academia. And also on top of this, this is the only scientific theory which you are going to find in science to this date that has the mass level of propaganda and misinformation and forgery, something which is not true for any other theory to that level. Now, I'm not saying other scientific theories don't have some level of fraud, or somebody's tried to submit some papers which had some dodgy results. What I'm saying is it's unprecedented, the amount of misinformation which exists about this theory, which has been admitted to by secular mainstream academics. So I want to end the video here, but what I do want to do is this particular video, I want the atheist watching to challenge it till the cows come home. Let me know what you think, and I'm going to go through the comments and make a response if this is something, if certain questions are actually raised. So for more information about why Darwinian evolution is based on a probabilistic framework with its multiple assumptions and why there are disputes about its most fundamental ideas, make sure you subscribe to Darwinian Delusions.